is Dr. Brian. I'm a professor in the sociology department here at Morehouse College.
Method.
The scientific method is when you attempt to inquire about, in terms of sociology, a social problem going on in society, and we have an inductive versus deductive. Inductive is starting from the big arena in terms of little let's say clues here and there, and then drawing a bigger picture from it. And deductive is starting with the bigger picture and then breaking it down to see the causes. So we present a research question or hypothesis stating why we think something happened, does something happen or not, why we believe it does not happen, and then we go through the steps of trying to figure out how to solve the problem. So we would do a literature review. We would go and see what previous literature has or currently states about the problem. We will find as much literature as possible, normally about 20 to 25 sources, and we try to stick to things that have happened within the past 10 years. That allows us to be most relevant in the topic, most current. Then we talk about the variables that might be in existence that have an influence. So there's direct and indirect variables. There's dependent and independent variables. Independent variable occurs by itself. It doesn't need something else to happen in order for it to occur. Then we have dependent variables, and they're a result of something. So A plus B causes C. After the literature review, we continue our research and we find a methodology. So I want to know how college students feel about their classes. I can look at educational articles that tell me about academic achievement, emotional feelings about school, and then and then what I can do in terms of methodology is I can survey college students. So I could say I want to survey 100 college students. I would do surveys because it's the quickest. I can send some surveys out or have them fill them out online, yes or no, in terms of agreeable, they check a box. I can also do in-depth interviews where I sit down and interview the students and talk to them about it and get maybe about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or even an hour, and ask them in-depth questions about, as opposed to a survey where we would just say, why do you like a certain class, or do you like a certain class, and they might say yes or no. Then I would, with the interview, I could say, well, do you like Sociology 101? And they could say yes or no, and I would be able to follow up with why and get more of a detailed explanation. I then take my results and group them all together. So I survey 100 college students, and 50 say they like Social 101, and 50 say they don't. So I take those results and interpret those results. And that's my where I do my data analysis. So I would take the results and I would say, okay, it looks to be about 50-50 that students seem to be split down the middle in terms of dealing with Sociology 101 and how they, how it influences their college outcomes or how they feel if they like the class or not. I can then make an interpretation based upon that data and see if it's generalizable. So all I would have done was take 100 college students, but let's say here at Morehouse College there are over 2,000. So can I make this generalizable in terms of applying it to the whole college population? Would that 50-50 split be representative of the entire college population? So I would draw conclusions from that. I would also talk about the limitations of my study. The limitations of my study would be the fact that I was only able to survey 100, and 100 students out of, again, let's say 2,500 is not a high percentage in terms of representation. I would also have a limitation of saying yes or no didn't allow me to get why they liked the class or why they didn't like the class, which would allow me much more information. Yes or no is pretty cut or dry. They might have liked certain aspects about the class, like the lecture and the exam, and not like seeing videos, or they might have liked the exam and not like the way the professor lectured. They might have liked the book. So they're all different types of things that could formulate their reasoning behind it. So again, it just depends on the methodology that you decide to choose.
All right. Do you believe that your version of methodology of making observations, gathering data, forming theories, testing predictions, and interpreting results is different or similar to a psychologist?
I believe it's very similar. I believe there's similar nature for all individuals. There's a pattern of asking questions, doing investigation and observation, taking notes, observing the data and the outcomes of situations. So while we study different things, the scientific method in its foundation is similar for all disciplines, in my opinion.
All right, for sure. All right, man. That's all I'm gonna ask you. I think you answered all the questions without me having to ask them.